Hi, I'm Kelly with citruscycles.ca. I'm here with the Spitzing Plus. It's made in Germany by M1 Sport-Technik. I'm super excited about this bike. It's carbon fiber frame, we've got the plus size tires, an optional massive 1,100 watt-hour battery, so that's 1.1 kilowatt hours, and the TQ mid-drive motor that offers 120 newton meters of torque. That's a massive amount of torque. And torque is what you need to get up the hills. So in comparison, the Shimano Steps E8000 offers 70 newton meters of torque. The Bosch Performance Line CX offers 75, and this is 120 newton meters of torque. It's just a massive amount of torque that really helps you fly up the hills, and yet it's very, very smooth and very responsive. Okay, I could get carried away talking about the motor. Let me come back and talk to you about that in a few minutes. Before I go much further, let me point out that you can find the detailed specs on our website at citruscycles.ca. There you'll find current pricing, you can find our contact information so you can reach out to us if I've missed anything in the video review, and you can also set up an appointment if you want to try it here in beautiful Ladysmith on Vancouver Island. So this bike is actually available in two sizes. This is the large size here, and also in two wheel set and suspension configurations. So this is the Plus. We've got these Schwalbe Knobby Nick 27.5 by 3-inch tires. Awesome, and it's a Manitou suspension. It's spec'd out at 120 millimeters of travel, which is really interesting. It seems low, but riding it, it doesn't seem like it's 120 millimeters. And when you measure the stanchions, it seems like it has a lot more travel than that. If you go with the regular size 27.5 by 2.35 Knobby Nicks, then they go with a Fox suspension with a lot more travel. So you can find the details of that on our website. It's also available in two different colors. This is the blue. We've got kind of an orange color option as well. And you can get it in different speed configurations. So you can get it to stop assisting at 32 kilometers an hour, which is the legal requirement for on-road usage here in Canada. You can get it as a speed pedelec, which means it cuts out at 45 kilometers an hour. That would be for off-road usage only here in Canada, because it does need to stop at 32 kilometers an hour for it to be considered a bike under the law. And you can get an unrestricted version that has no restriction on the maximum speed, and you can go really fast. It's actually quite incredible, the options that are available. So in the video, I'm going to go through the detailed specs and all the components, and I'll take you on a ride test. And like I said, you can find out all the details on our website at citruscycles.ca. So let me start with the motor. I'm really excited about this TQ motor. It's a motor that M1 has been using for a number of years. Highbike just started using it on their Fly-On series, and the key feature of this is the torque. So like I said, 120 newton meters of torque. It's a massive amount of torque. In my tests up any of the hills, you just kind of fly right up. I was concerned before riding the bike, is it going to be too much torque? Is it going to be unmanageable? Am I going to destroy the trails? Because I don't want to do that. I don't want to be spinning out. I don't want to have, I don't want to be riding a dirt bike. It's still a bike. It's very responsive. It, of course, uses a torque sensor, which senses how hard you're pedaling and matches that. So it's a very, very smooth, very responsive drive system. And it's never unmanageable. It's never too much torque. I was really, really impressed with it in the ride test, and it's certainly worth coming and trying out yourself. So with that much power and that much torque and that much speed capability, especially with the speed pedelec or the unrestricted version, they put a massive 48-tooth chainring on the front here, and that's a great idea, because you are going to be able to go faster with this bike. I've hit 45, 50 kilometers an hour, no problem. Again, off-road usage only. You need the big chainring like that, otherwise you'd be pedaling too quickly. So I can actually pedal comfortably at those higher speeds. On the back here we have a 10-speed 11 to 36 tooth cassette, and again I was like, whoa, that's a little on the small side. No problem, when I get it I'm going to put a 42 or 46 on there. Easy upgrade to do. Then I took it for a ride. I went up, the steepest hills. I put it on level 5, And I found myself actually having to stop pedaling a couple times because it's going too fast. So I almost had to coast up the hills in a couple sections. Now, obviously you don't have to ride on level 5. You can bring that down to, any of the other 5 levels to make it a little bit less powerful. But I definitely, riding here with the massive hills we have here in Ladysmith, I don't actually need to upgrade that cassette. Of course, that's something you could do down the road, but I didn't actually need the really big climbing gear because of the torque that motor offers. So with that amount of torque, and this is a 48 volt motor, you're going to want a pretty big battery. So the great thing about this is you can get this massive 1.1 kilowatt hour battery, so it's 1,100 watt hours. To put that in perspective, most bikes these days are coming with 500 watt hours. If you get a dual battery bike, you've got 1,000. This is 1,100 in a single battery, and it's surprising actually. I mean, it is a big battery. They've mounted under the down tube. It kind of integrates into this great bash guard that they've designed here to protect the motor. It comes all the way under, all the way around the back there, which is great. And so it's actually not as big as I thought it would be for the amount of power that's in there. Now you can choose to get an 880 watt hour instead if you wish. Comes with a 5 amp charger, which is really cool. The charger has a fan in it. It's aluminum casings to help dissipate heat, and that allows it to charge the 880 watt hour battery up to 80% within an hour, which is really impressive. As I mentioned, we do have 5 levels of assistance. If I come up here, turn the bike on, which is the power key here, you can see it's going to show you the level of the battery. We've got a 12 volt system running for lights, and then of course the motor itself is 48 volts. Come up to the display here, and I've got a protective film, so it's a little bit harder to read. I've got the remote here for adjusting the levels, and if I press the up, I'm going to go up to level 1. Level 1 is really interesting. It's a range extender, so it gives you 45% assistance. So in other words, it's sensing your torque and your speed and your cadence, and basically gives you an extra boost of 45%. But it also limits your speed on level 1. So again, that's a range extender feature. On the regular bike that cuts out at 32 kilometers an hour, it on level 1 will stop at 20, and on the speed pedelec version, which tops out at 45, on level 1 it'll top out at 30, and that's going to help you get a tremendous range. If you don't need that range extender, you don't want the speed limitation, then go to level 2. That's still 45% of your input power, but there's no restrictions on the speed other than what the maximum restriction is on the bike itself. Then you can go all the way up to level 5, and level 5 gives you a massive 550% boost over what you're putting in. So that's an incredible amount of power. It's a nice display in that you can see everything all at once. So you can see your battery level, your current speed, your odometer, level of assistance, and there's a mode button down here on the bottom. I can press that and cycle through the information on the top there. So I've got a trip computer, I've got my average speed, I've got the maximum speed, and I have the distance to go, which is telling me how much further I can go on charge with the, how much I can go with the remaining charge in the battery. That won't be accurate at this point because I do need to completely do a ride where I drain the battery and charge it up again at least once before it'll really recalibrate itself correctly. But it's really nice having that estimated range. There is a walk mode as well. I don't think you'll find a hill you have to walk up. It's quite incredible the amount of torque. But if you do, or you're in a pedestrian zone, or riding off the ferry ramp or something like that, you can press and hold the minus key, and that will enable walk mode, which means the crank arms will turn and the bike will move itself along at about a 4 or 5 kilometer an hour pace, which is a good walking speed. So since you can get going really fast, you need to be able to stop quickly. For that, we've got the Magura MT5s up front, a massive 203 millimeter rotor, quad piston brakes, very, very responsive. These are actually e-bike specific brakes, so you can see there's a little wire coming out of there, and when you pull a little bit on the brake lever, that activates that wire, which tells the motor to stop working. So normally you wouldn't need a motor inhibitor because of course you've got the torque sensor. As soon as you stop pedaling, the motor stops. For some reason you want to pedal and use the brakes at the same time, then that's going to tell the motor to stop working. For the rear brake, it's the MT4, which is a dual piston and a 180, and that makes sense because most of your stopping power is in the front brake, so it's really nice to have that. As I mentioned, we've got the Schwalbe knobby neck. These are a 3-inch on this bike, or if you get the non-plus Spitzing, it is a 2.25. Really great quality components on the bike. So we've got DT Swiss rims, the spline 22, and it's a DT Swiss hub. These are a great wheel set. High quality, kind of pricey, but definitely worth it, especially on a bike that's putting out this much torque. You're going to be riding this bike hard, you're going to be really pushing it, so you want the components to handle it, and that's the great thing about these DT Swiss hubs. They're definitely going to handle that. We also have on this bike, like I said, the Manitou. We've got, it's a really nice fork actually with a lot of adjustability up here. It's an air fork, of course, so we can adjust the air, but lots of adjustability both at the top and the bottom. It's a Manitou rear shock as well. It is spec'd out at 120 millimeters of travel, but it seems in riding, and when you measure the stanchions, it seems to give you a lot more than that. So it doesn't feel like a short travel bike. Certainly I've really found in the ride tests that the suspension is well suited, especially with these tires. I love having these 3-inch tires because really, to me, you're getting the powerful torque from the motor. That means you're going to be wanting to climb hills, and so you're going to lose traction going up a hill before you'll lose momentum because of the torque of the motor. For that reason, I would definitely go for me with the Spitzing Plus. Well, I did because I really want that traction from the 3-inch tires. I have a feeling that with the 2.35s, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to climb without losing traction. So it's nice having that. While I'm back here, I should point out, so I've talked about, this is the Shimano Dior XT, we've got the 10-speed, we could change the cassette if we wanted to. This is really cool. There's actually this little junction box in here, and that's because the bike has mechanical shift detection. So when you shift with the trigger shifters up here, this little box actually senses that you're shifting and sends a signal to the motor to briefly cut the power. And it's brief, it's almost not noticeable, but I know, you know, that the bike has that feature, so I really paid attention when riding. And so if you are pedaling and you don't interrupt your pedaling and shift, it's actually going to know that you're shifting and cut the power very, very briefly to the motor in order for the shift to happen, because at 120 Newton meters of torque, if you don't ease off on your pedaling and try to shift, that could be really, really hard on your drivetrain. So that's a really clever feature that they've got, that as soon as you shift, it knows you're shifting. There's no doubt, it's not software based, it's not guessing, it knows because it's a mechanical shift system. As soon as you shift, cuts power, but you don't notice, you're not going to suddenly slow down or anything like that. It's very, very brief, but it's enough to make sure that you're really not wearing out your drivetrain. So that's a really great feature that they've added. As I mentioned, this is a carbon fiber frame. Beautiful design, really very innovative. We've got a 10-year warranty on the frame. They even have a crash program, so if you crash it, you can buy a replacement at a discount, which is really great. It's really beautiful with the integration of the wiring coming through the frame. The stem here is a little bit long. John, our service manager, was saying, you know, he finds it quite long and he would shorten that. That's an easy change to make. I like the width of the bars, and we've got these cool locking grips here that match the color of the bike. John was probably going to put longer bars on for his bike, but I'm used to these moderate length bars, and coupled with a shorter stem, it would be a really great riding position. I really like that. We do have a lockout up front here for the rear shock, because it would be a little bit tricky to get into there while you're riding to make adjustments. You can see it's way back there, so it's nice having that, but of course you can make adjustments as well manually at the back end here. We've got a Physic Tundra saddle, very nice high-end saddle, aluminum seat post, no dropper post. That's a little bit disappointing. That's something that I would change. Looks like it's going to be fairly easy to do a stealth, run it through the frame, because we've got some extra points that we can pull the cable out and mount something onto the bars. So that'll be an easy change that we'll make. I'm actually happy with the pedals. Often I change the pedals on a bike when I get it in, but we've got the pins. It's a nice platform pedal, fairly wide, so that's something that I would just leave as is. And as I mentioned, I thought I was going to change the cassette, but I wouldn't, because it's really unnecessary. With that much torque, you're able to climb up everything pretty easily. So hopefully I've covered everything on the bike. You know, the real highlight to me is that TQ motor with the tremendous torque, huge range with that battery. Of course, if you're riding level 5 and you're flying along at 50 some kilometers an hour, it's definitely going to use up the battery a lot longer. But if you're keeping it moderate and you're letting level 2 or 3, you still get tons of torque for the hills. Maybe you'll keep your speed at 25-30 kilometers an hour. You're going to get massive range with that battery, and I really like having that ability to just ride anywhere, both distance and in terms of the hills. It's quite impressive. And of course the carbon fiber frame, beautiful frame, great suspension, love those tires. For the full details on the bike, or if you have questions, you can head over to our website at citruscycles.ca.
Well, it's pretty incredible having that much torque that I actually have to coast a little up the hills because I'm going too fast. It's interesting because it's a very smooth response, and so although it's got way more torque than any other drive unit that I've tested, it's very smooth, very responsive to my input. It's not at all jumpy or forceful. I mean, I can get power, I just have to hammer the pedals and boom, you get that power right away, but it is really in proportion to my pedaling, so it's a different feel than I expected. I expected, with that much torque, it'd just be like, I don't know, riding a dirt bike or something. But it's not. It's still very much a bike. Just there's no such thing as a hill. Pedal hard. I'm in level 3 right now. I'll put up 5 for one of the big hills I've got, and it's just incredible the amount of torque to get you up those hills. And I thought that would be the main thing about this bike. With that TQ motor getting lots of torque, and that would be, and certainly it's a standout feature. But I'm really enjoying the suspension as well, this Manitou fork and shock. It's really impressive. Loving the 3-inch wide tires, getting lots of traction, stability. It's really an enjoyable ride position. You could, it's a fairly long stem, you could shorten that up a little bit. The bars are a little bit narrower than some. We could widen those if we wanted to. So far I'm actually pretty happy with the configuration. One thing I noticed, I'll try it again, I just moved up to 4, back down to 3, up to 4. On the display itself there's a little bit of lag when adjusting the levels. I'm not sure that lag is perceptible pedaling, maybe slightly, whereas I am used to other drive systems, just a real immediate, it's not a long delay, maybe half a second, but I do notice just that little bit of delay between when I press the button and when the drive unit changes. It's really tempting with this massive 1.1 kilowatt hour battery, which is optional, to just ride in level 5 the whole time, because it really is lots of power, very incredible. Very refined though, despite that power. I'm not sure why I'd expect anything less from a German bike and a German motor. Alright, so for this hill, it's very steep. So I'll pop her up into 5. This is a hill that I can climb on a bike with the Bosch CX drive and fairly wide tires. It takes a fair bit of work, but with this bike, thanks. This bike, I've never had it so easy or climbed so fast. It's incredible. It is a really steep hill. Hopefully the camera will show it. I can feel a bit of slippage on my rear tire there, but with these 3-inch tires it is keeping up no problem. I really haven't had a problem with front wheel lift, which sometimes I do on this hill, depending on the geometry of the bike. Wow. You know, that was an incredibly easy climb compared to any of the other bikes I've ridden it on. Anything less than that 70-75 Newton meters of torque that the Bosch CX drive has, I can't make it up there. With this one, wow, I just fly right up. It's incredible. So definitely, if you're looking to climb steep hills, this is a great bike. So this is the speed version of the bike. Hoping the GPS is going to show the correct speed, but yeah, you can get going really quick. It is for off-road use only, so I'm not on roads right now, so I can use it. This fast even going downhill, and right now I'm going uphill. Now again, I'm on level 5, so you can really cruise. Woo. Okay, I'll bring it back down to the lower level now, a more manageable speed. Put that down to 3. It's actually the same electronic shifter that roll-off uses on there. And I think, you know, with the roll-off, when I shift, I hear the little motor, and that's kind of that feedback that I'm looking for. With these buttons, there's not a lot of feedback, and maybe that's why I'm feeling there's a bit of a lag. Now I am missing the dropper post. That's something I would definitely add to this bike. Not sure why they didn't do that. We've looked at some options for stealth routing. Level 3, you can really fly on this thing. Alright, this is just a first little preliminary test. I knew there were some steep hills on this ride. I wanted to try out, check out the suspension, the tires. Really happy so far. I'm going to try to hit some more challenging trails if I can later in the video. We'll do another fire road climb here. Put it on level 5. Really, level 2 or 3 is plenty. This isn't that steep. So you can get going really fast on level 5. It's kind of funny because I find myself actually having to coast uphill a few times because I'm going too fast for the climb. So the great thing about having this much torque is not only can you climb really, really steep stuff, but you can choose how hard you want to work at it. So normally on this climb, you know, I'm really having to push myself on some of the steeper sections. I haven't quite got to them yet. And with this bike, you have the choice. You can say, well, you know what, kind of tired today. Put it in easy gear, spin, and you'll climb right up. Or if you're in a bit of a hurry and you want to go faster, you know, you can work just as hard as you do on any of the other e-bikes, but then you're going to fly up the hill a lot faster. So having that extra torque definitely is going to help you in terms of speed, getting up the hills, but also in terms of opening up maybe some steeper sections that in the past maybe would have been too steep. Getting a little wet here. I didn't throw any fenders on the bike. Okay, here's a nice steep climb, long climb. I won't do the whole thing, but just to give you an idea of the climbing capabilities of this bike. You know, in that 5th gear, I'm just flying up the hill, no problem. Good traction from these 3-inch tires. Now you can definitely hear the motor. I would think that this motor is probably a little bit louder, especially in level 5 on a climb like this, compared to say the Bosch or the Shimano. It's a different sound. Yeah, I've been working way harder on my other bikes to make it up this far, and I'm really just kind of relaxing and climbing, no problem. Usually by this time I'm having to stop for a rest. I haven't been up here in a while. But yeah, if you're looking to climb steep stuff, this is incredible. Or if you're looking to go fast, this is going to handle that too. All right. Yeah, no problem. I'll dial her back down. Don't use 5 going down the hill. Put these brakes to test. Lots of modulation in them. It's nice having the quad piston up front there. And you can see way down there, we really gained a lot of elevation in that little bit of a short climb. And it was incredible. This is the bike I'm going to use to go up and down all the mountain trails to see where they go. And that's the great thing about an e-bike. So I just did that for fun, you know. Normally you'd want some sort of really great view or a great downhill run to make it worthwhile going up there. But with this TQ drive unit, yeah, might as well see where it goes. It's a lot of fun. If it doesn't go anywhere, that's okay. It was still a fun climb. You're definitely, you know, you are still getting exercise. I'm definitely still having to work at it. It is pedal assist, there's no throttle, but it just makes it so much easier. And again, you can choose, so I don't have to climb in level 5. I can climb in level 1 and 2 if I want more exercise. The nice thing about having this 1.1 kilowatt hour battery is if I do want to climb in level 5 because I'm in a hurry and just want to get up there quickly, I know I've got lots of juice to make it there and home. You know, the great thing about these tires, not only am I getting lots of traction, but you know, this time of year we've got lots of leaves covering the road. It's really hard to see what's going on underneath, and it's nice to know if I have the confidence that if I am you know, hitting a rock that I didn't expect or a patch of really loose gravel, that I'm still going to have the traction that I need to stay in control of the bike. Well, it's a lot of fun going down. On this bike, I might have had more fun going up. It's just incredible the amount of power that you can get from it. So for the detailed specs, if you have questions, you want to come try it yourself, all the details are on our website, including our contact info at citruscycles.ca.